Thank you very much for that introduction. Today I'm going to be talking about how we can make solar contagious and how we can really engage the community in this clean tech revolution that we're all excited about, that we're all working in. And to follow that up with, well, all right, solar, but what's next? So when I was with the city of San Jose, we worked a lot through a Department of Energy grant that looked at how we can reduce solar soft costs. So we streamlined permitting, we worked on creating new models, and one of those models was a group procurement program. At the same time, we developed our group procurement model. Our partners in Portland also developed a similar model for community-wide group procurement called Solarize. So we called ours SunShares, they called theirs Solarize, and we both launched at the same time. And the reason why we created these models through this Department of Energy Solar America City grant was to reduce soft cost. And soft cost was one of those barriers that really kept people from moving forward with solar. And what we found was that it was no longer the cost tied to equipment that was really keeping the cost of solar expensive for homeowners. So there's this perceived barrier that it was expensive, and back then it was. The solar industry has done a great job in bringing down those hard costs, but we still see soft costs persist. In fact, this is new data from GTM, and this is an unnamed solar company, but what you can see here is that the soft cost embedded in the cost of a solar installation is about, for this particular solar company, about 65 cents a watt. So depending on the solar company and the amount of money that they spend on marketing, customer acquisition, soft costs can be around $1,500 to $3,000 of the cost of a resident's solar installation. So that is still a high upfront cost that we can really work together to reduce. The other big barrier to market transformation for solar is, well, who do I trust? Customer confusion. There's so many commercials, go solar, no money down, billboards, web ads. Homeowners are just, they don't move forward. It's, too much information. I'm not doing anything as a result. So through group procurement programs, we can reduce those soft costs by pooling the buying power of homeowners and reduce the confusion that homeowners experience by finding a quality, trusted solar installation company for them to receive a proposal from. On the EV side of things, the big one is range anxiety, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a sec. So, benefits to group buying. After I left the city of San Jose, our group procurement programs were really successful. We targeted employees of major Silicon Valley companies as our audience. That was our affinity group. Portland did community-wide Solarize programs, and it worked really well. The benefit of working with an affinity group is that you have an internal communication channel that you can really use to reach the public. So you have no overhead for marketing and customer acquisition. You're using internal email channels, email blasts, newsletters, chatter, etc. And you're also engaging employees in something sustainable, which was a big win. So I took that model and took it to Vote Solar. Vote Solar is a 501c3 nonprofit. For those of you who don't know Vote Solar, we're the leading policy organization around solar in the United States. We work on net energy metering. In fact, this last week we built a coalition of justice and labor and solar industry organizations that delivered 130,000 signatures to the California Public Utilities Commission in an effort to save net energy metering in California. It's more signatures than the CPUC has ever received on any issue they've had to decide on. Yeah, good stuff. So we also work on the RPS. We just helped get that passed, raised to 50%, and shared solar legislation across the United States. But we really wanted to figure out, Vote Solar, they took on this model, how can we engage people in a different way than just saying, hey, email your senator to support this particular policy initiative. So we, Vote Solar, started administering these group procurement programs on behalf of our partners. Again, to pool the buying power of homeowners and to provide vetted contractors to reduce that confusion. So these are some of our partners. We work with major local governments around the country, as well as these types of nonprofits here that have members who are private sector corporations. And we've worked with Google and eBay and Genentech and big universities and Bank of America and you name it, we've helped them run a program. So let's talk about a few of these programs. So Peninsula SunShares, I'm just going to talk about our program since April. Peninsula SunShares, we've launched with a cohort of 12 local governments here on the peninsula. That was community-wide. So they engaged a bunch of different outreach partners like churches and nonprofits and neighborhood associations to get the word out. We run these short-term programs after we've issued a request for proposal process to find a solar contractor or two. And this program ran for 4 months. Almost 1,100 people signed up for it. And there was a lot of motivation to run these programs during this time frame, which is April to now. 1, ITC is expiring next year. 2, changes to net metering in California are coming, so people are really motivated to get their solar installed and get grandfathered into that current NEM structure. In total, in 4 months, almost a megawatt of installed capacity through this particular program. We have another program running. This is the Business Council on Climate Change. This is over 10 big, large employers, including PG&E, who launched a program for their workforces. In 3 months, this program just closed. We had 2,000 employees sign up for the program. And we have already a megawatt of signed contracts in 3 months through this program and counting because the contract signing deadline is not until November 16th. So solar is contagious, right? We can really get people to find out, hey, I've worked with Joe for 10 years or I've lived next door to so-and-so for 5 years. If they did it, I trust the process. So in Colorado, we wanted to add electric vehicles because Boulder County, who's our partner here, they have big goals to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from the transportation sector. And their state policy incentives, the federal incentives, they just weren't motivating people to adopt electric vehicles fast enough. So we issued the first electric vehicle group buy in the country. That's running now. It'll be 4 months by the time it closes. There are currently over 1,100 people who have registered for that program. It is community-wide. To date, we have 178 EV-only registrants, some who have signed up for both EV and PV. And on the PV side, 706 people signed up to see if solar could be a good fit for their home. So we have about 0.5 megawatt of signed contracts and counting. And the reason why we see a really high adoption rate for electric vehicles through this program is because the deal is amazing. So we coordinated with Nissan, the manufacturer, and they picked a dealer, a local dealer. And basically, together, the dealer and the manufacturer together are offering a discount that is almost $9,000 off MSRP. And on top of that, there's a state credit for the Nissan Leaf that's $5,000 partnered with the federal tax credit, which is $7,500. So essentially, you can get a brand new Nissan Leaf for about $11,000 before sales tax and dealer fees and whatnot. Yeah, good stuff. So, in 2 months, over 165 Leafs have been sold. That is a 300% increase in the number of Leafs that this dealership historically has sold. So are electric vehicles contagious? Yes, just as much as solar. So what's next? What we're really looking at next is grid integration. We've heard a lot today about storage and the role of inverters and energy efficiency and really creating this space for all of that to interact together. And so in from Vote Solar's perspective, launching these group procurement programs is not just getting more people to adopt solar or electric vehicles, it's creating advocates who support policy. And that's what we really need in this space that everyone's been talking about, is good policy. The investor-owned utilities are now required to actually procure storage to plan for this emerging space. Something else that's really exciting is at the Cal ISO, there's a distributed energy resource proposal that is going to be sent to FERC for approval that's going to allow third-party aggregators who maybe are the Solar Cities or the Sunruns of the world who own assets to partner storage with those assets, store excess electricity, and sell that electricity into the wholesale utility market. That's coming. It's coming very, very soon. Google didn't pay $3+ billion for a thermostat, right? This is that transactional space that's emerging where customers are going to be able to have two-way communication with the utilities in a way that's never existed before. So some takeaways: solar and electric vehicles are very contagious. In the last, I guess it's been almost 3 years now, our programs run just by a couple people on behalf of all of our partners have resulted in almost 6 megawatts of residential installations in multiple states. We're helping our partners achieve their clean energy goals faster. This is both corporate partners who have CSR goals, employee engagement goals, as well as communities. And really the last 10 years, it's been about market transformation for renewables, and a key piece of that is reducing soft costs. But where we see things going is grid integration. How do we make it all work? And to make it work, again, we need that good policy to ensure that customers are receiving fair value for what they're selling to the utilities, and that that transactional space is easy for people to use and easy for the utilities to manage. This also provides an incredible opportunity for entrepreneurship, because we need those apps, we need software, we need all kinds of stuff to make this transactional space happen. And ultimately, the future is going to be awesome. So I encourage you all to continue on this path, and I'm happy to answer questions during the lunch break. Thank you.